Hello, this is Bill Meridian speaking to you once again from New York, September 19th, 2025. More information about Saturn Neptune. In previous videos, I've shown that Saturn Neptune is related to frauds. The eclipse coming up in just a couple days is on the autumnal equinox, and it is opposite Saturn and Neptune. And thus, the I said that the current fraud situation would expand, which I think it has. We're going to take a look at that. And first of all, before I say that, and by the way, we have a new additional website. We have the old website, billmeridian.com, and a new one, billmeridianastrology.com, because the other one got too big and we couldn't put anything more in there. First, before we discuss the fraud, I did a study of assassinations for Dell Horoscope way back in the 90s. And one thing that stuck out was most assassinations have occurred in the month of September. And we just had a very sad and unfortunate one just a week ago. And my earlier videos, I pointed out that Saturn Neptune was hitting the horoscope of the Federal Reserve, Hillary Clinton. So she's been caught up in what's called Russiagate, and the Federal Reserve was being pressured very much by the president, who would like to, I'm sure, get Powell out. And now the Fed is drawn into Saturn Neptune, having been accused of mortgage fraud. Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook has been accused. Her birth date is unknown. So I can't tell you much more about that. But I do have the chart for her being appointed to her position. Let us look at former frauds and at Letitia James, New York Attorney General. First, let's look at the original fraud, at Charles Ponzi. Look down here where I have this is Neptune, the Uranian planet Vulcanus, which just makes everything much more powerful, and Vesta. So he's got the very powerful conjunction in his chart, and he was already Sun in Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune. And here you have the Neptune-Vesta conjunction. Now, let's go one more and look at Bernie Madoff. Well, Bernie Madoff, here's Vesta, 75 degrees to Neptune. Now, let me explain that I had noticed that markets tend to change direction when planets are multiples of 15 degrees from each other. So 15 into 360 is the 24th harmonic. And I remember in 1975 having John Addy as my guest at my home in New Jersey at that time. And I asked him what that harmonic meant. And he said, well, you would combine the meanings of 3 and 8 or 4 and 6. 3 times 8 is 24, 4 times 6 is 24. And we came to see that it was sort of like Saturn Uranus, like change from one state to another, change of trend. And a lot of people in the stock market have the 15-degree harmonic, 15, 30, 45, 60, but also 75, 105, and 165. So that's where that comes from. So 75 degrees is an angle, it is a connection. And here you see that Madoff has it in this chart, which I picked up from the internet, April 29th, 1938, 1:50 p.m. EDT in Queens. Now here we have Letitia James, who was just accused, the New York State Attorney General, accused of mortgage fraud. And she has Vesta at 4 Leo 24, square Neptune and Mercury at 3 and 4 Scorpio. She was born October 18th, 1958, and I use 6 a.m. in Brooklyn. I don't know her birth time. But she was just accused of mortgage fraud, and here we have Neptune and Vesta. So Lisa Cook, appointed to the Fed, notice she was appointed May 23rd, 2022 at 12 noon. Notice she was appointed with Mars and Neptune conjunct, and the Mars is at 29 Pisces, only 1 degree short of what? 0 Aries, a world point. And here is Uranus at 15 degrees Taurus. That is 45 and 135 to the world points. 15 fixed is not a world point, but it's an aspect to the world points. So both of these are being hit by what? By Saturn, Neptune, and the eclipse. Correct? Right. So that's one thing to notice. And notice when she was nominated, here we have Mercury at 29, almost 0 Gemini. We have the Sun at 2 Gemini 30, and the Uranian planet at Metis at 2 Gemini 46. And about 90 degrees away through a sign, here we have Vesta at 13 minutes short of 0 Pisces, which would put it in square to Gemini. So the chart does tell us something. First of all, Mars Neptune is, as we know, symbolic of fraud. And here it is, 45 to Uranus, set off by Saturn Neptune. So if you see this combination activated in a horoscope, warn the person about defective mortgages, insurance policies, investment plans, etc. Now, let me explain. I was Eleanor Bach's student, and she advised us that Vesta was security. I mean, that's its basic meaning. And she said to me, because I worked on Wall Street, Vesta is securities. Frankie Joe, one of the greatest stock traders of all time, had Jupiter trine Vesta with an orb of less than a degree. He was on the cover of Barron's twice. I think it was 82 and 83 or 83 and 84. People who sell securities might have Neptune and Vesta. People who are in compliance, in other words, they make sure you follow all the rules and regulations, that's also Vesta. It's making sure that everything is pure, everything is on the level, things are genuine. So when you see this in someone's chart, if they're going to buy a house, if they're considering getting insurance, an investment plan, if you see Neptune combining with their Vesta, and this could be by whatever method you use, by transit certainly, by progression less likely because the planets move slowly, but it might, over many years, Vesta might just move, or by solar arc, Neptune to Vesta, or any arc technique to Vesta. So when you see that, you might warn a person if they're getting a house, make sure it has a clear title. If they're buying just about anything, make sure it has a clear title. And certainly if they're making investment plans or insurance plans, and Neptune and Vesta is involved, they have to read the fine print. There's something that they're missing. So I just wanted to update on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which won't be exact until February, so there'll be plenty more to talk about, and introduce the notion of Neptune and Vesta. And as always, the mundane book, Mastering Geopolitical Prediction, available at billmeridian.com or billmeridianastrology.com. We've had to drop PayPal because they're giving us difficulties, and we've moved over to either a check, a direct bank transfer, Zelle, or GoDaddy payments. And also buy at billmeridian.com the predictive power of eclipse paths in search. And there were the old standbys, planetary economic forecasting, and planetary stock trading 4. That's it for today. Bill Meridian, I'll be talking to you soon. Thank you so much for listening.